Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So this time we're going to be looking at the matches that I've been playing during the ETC in Amsterdam this year. I went with my Dread Elves. We faced off against Poland in the first round. It's known to be quite a good team, so it was a challenge probably for us to get the good matchups. For me, Kingdom of Aquitaine personally, I think I rated it as a neutral matchup, and we will see what happened in the game. This is the list of my opponents, so mostly what's important to me is that he was playing a Paladin Cowboy, he had a Damsel Wizard Master on Druidism, then he had three big blocks of Knights, and then some support units basically. For me, my list is going to be the same throughout the event. I have a Dread Prince who functions basically as an anvil in the army, then I have some magic support and three main combat units with the Beastbreakers with Crucible, Obsidian Guard and the Thunderback, and then I have the Hunting Chariots, mostly as support pieces. Let's go into the battle. So we are playing marching columns this round. I'm deploying from left to right, and my opponent is deploying from his left to right. So he starts in the opposite corner deploying, and I chose to deploy first, so I can also drop at some point and get the first turn. Objective wise, we're playing breakthrough, so I think it's a good thing to put pressure on my opponent and have a chance to break through actually. So I started dropping my Shadow Riders. My opponent countered with his KoE of the stuff. Then I had a Raptor Chariot. I think the Raptor Chariot can still go anywhere in the field basically after I drop it, because it will at some point arrive somewhere. Then the rather mobile Obsidian Guard that I wanted to have on the flanks, also for the objective. Then for the rest, I have my Hunting Chariot, my two units of Crossbowmen, my Dread Prince in the middle of the field in the first unit of Crossbowmen, another Hunting Chariot, then the Beastbreakers with Crucible in the woods, Thunderpack in the woods, and then the Raptor Chariot all the way on the right. My opponent's left to right on the picture. All the way on the left, he has his enlisted outlaw scouts. Then he has the Knights Penitent, the unit of 4. Knights of the Quest, a big block of Knights of the Realm with the BSB. Then already vanguarded now is the Mounted Human. Then he has the other unit of Knights of the Quest. His Aquitaine Lord, I believe, is the small guy, and then the KoE is the flying eagle kind of guy. So this is the deployment. I thought it was quite okay for me. Having to deploy first, I didn't really know also how my opponent would counter deploy. I did get to see his first unit of knights, but I didn't envision that he would go so far to the right. And then for movement turn 1, end of movement from my side, it's going to be this. So I elected to just completely ignore the flank where he could put his units. I did this a bit on purpose because I just really wanted to make sure that I could make the breakthrough. So I focused more on the left side than on the right side. I could have obviously turned the Thunderpack a bit more to keep line of sight behind the hill. Maybe it would have been a better play, but I also kind of liked my opponent getting away from the position that he was in, because I envisioned that if I would give him a flank there, he would just move his units onto the flank of my Thunderpack quite likely, and then he would try to force through. Whilst if I really kept all my angles clean, then he probably would just not advance that much at all. So I just tried to draw him in. And then with the Beastbreakers themselves are not a very good answer against Knights. The Obsidian Guard and the Lord on Cold One are though, so I just tried to get them up to speed as quickly as possible. As you can see, the Obsidian Guard are quite far up on the board, and that's because I was doing my magic phase, and then at some point, as a final spell, I just rolled some dice for Raven's Wing, and I actually got it despite my opponent rolling quite some dice to dispel it. So this is going to be the Dread Elf turn 1 movement, and then the next picture is going to be my opponent's end of turn 1 movement. So he does indeed take the the flank of my Thunder Pack. The big unit of knights with the BSB in the middle is behind the hill, so the Thunder Packs cannot see him. And he has chaffed up my Beast Breakers as well. So he kind of did what I expected him to do, which was quite nice. And we'll just go to the next picture for a bit of a later stage in the game. So this picture is, I think it's my turn, end of turn 2 movement. So the Obsidian Guard, they move a bit towards the center of the field. The left unit of crossbowmen is just going for the objective for the breakthrough. And my Shadow Riders have been shot off by his archer units. So I was thinking that probably my crossbows can, together with the Raptor Chariot, can deal with the enlisted outlaws. Otherwise, I'm just removing a Swift Stride with my Hunting Chariots. He got quite lucky on the dice and managed to just annihilate one of my Hunting Chariots with a single Master of Earth, I believe. And in this turn, I charged in with the Thunder Pack to get rid of the Mounted Human. Unfortunately, they did not fail their Terror test, so that would have been quite nice, because then I might have had a charge somewhere else. Yeah, the Dreadlord just pushes up the terrain and the field just to get into combat with anything, really. Then we're a bit later in the game, so at this point, quite a lot of stuff has happened actually. So on the left side, I do manage to trade off. Well, in the end, the trade-off was my Shadow Riders for his enlisted outlaws. So one of the units is gone by now, and the other unit is still there, but will be mopped up with the crossbows. Otherwise, the Beast Breakers are quite far down the field on my left. And that's because in his turn, I fled with him, and then this turn I rallied them. I think this is Dread Elf end of turn 3-ish. I think so. So what you see is that I have charged with the Raptor Chariot onto his Feudal Knights that were on the hill by then. And it's the Feudal Knights that charged my Thunder Pack, and then my Thunder Pack fled. He could actually still charge them with another unit and then push them off the field at some point. So that is why the Thunder Pack are gone in this picture. Otherwise, his lord was just looking at my Obsidian Guard that managed to get rid of the penitents. I also came in combat with Knights of the Quest with the Obsidian Guard at this point. I managed to kill a couple, but I didn't manage to kill sufficient for him to just to be completely destroyed. And then I had a pursue with my Lord and the Obsidian Guard on the quests, and unfortunately they got away. So that was 2 Swift Stride rolls against 1, but luckily for my opponent, he managed to get the better half of that. Yeah, generally the state of the board, I was quite confident at this point because I haven't really lost that much. I've lost the Hunting Chariot, I've lost the Raptor Chariot. I haven't lost the Raptor Chariot actually. But my opponent has lost his Feudals and his Penitents, and his Knights of the Quest were a bit in a bad spot. So my opponent's turn, he will chaff with the KoE of the Dusk, Dawn, whatever, that guy, and he will charge in on my Obsidian Guard with his Hippogriff, because he first charged my Lord, and my Lord was like, nah, I don't really want to face off that guy once he's charging. So my Obsidian Guard, they caught the Hippogriff Lord, and then basically we were just grinding each other down, my opponent just healing on his Lord, and I not healing on my Obsidian Guard. So eventually, we'll go to the next picture. Eventually my opponent managed to grind down the entire unit of Obsidian Guard, but I did get to rally my Lord, charge back into the combat. So charge the Lord of my opponent, and then with some nice charge, you can see the marker of the Raptor Chariot on the right in front of the Knights of the Quests. That is where he was, so I could see over the Feudal Knights in the middle to draw line of sight to his Hippogriff Lord. So I could charge him, so I got a flank charge, I got a charge with the Raptor guy, and I made my opponent test on a -3. Unluckily for me, he made the test, and then he stuck around. But it was quite okay, because I do have my scoring unit in my opponent's deployment. I still have 2 more scoring units that could get towards my opponent's deployment. I still have a Raptor Chariot to just threaten a little bit his lines. And otherwise, yeah, the Raptor Lord against his Lord Jewel is quite favorable for me, because he's only strength 4 with AP1. He couldn't charge my Raptor Chariot because of his own troops being in the way, so this was quite a good stance for me, I thought. And then, yeah, I believe, I don't know when this is, but this is basically going to conclude the game, more or less. So I have my scoring unit in his deployment. I'm going to have a second one in his deployment. And what will still happen on his side is that he will move with his 2 big blocks of knights into my deployment. So we draw the objective. Then at the end of the game, once we counted points, actually it turned out that he had a little bit more points than me. Despite the fact that he only has 4 units left on the battlefield. It is the 4 units that bring in the most points for him. So we ended on a 9-11 to the Dread Elves. And I think it was quite a decent result. I would have liked it to be a little bit higher. So also, like last turn, I tried to still cast Ravenswing on my Beastbreaker unit, but I don't play Ravenswing that often, so I didn't realize that they would lose scoring. So I should have definitely done it a turn before in order to be able to score the objective. Yeah, it was a nice game. It was really enjoyable, with my opponent also being a good sport, and just clear communication and no difficulties whatsoever. It's a bit of a shame, obviously, that that I didn't manage to pull out the win, which I think I could have. But next time we play each other, we'll see what happens then. Thank you for watching. That's gonna be it, and I will see you then next time.